Alright, so I ordered some headers for the Charger, and they came in today. And I went with stainless steel, and I went with a cheaper name brand just because the good name brand stainless steel headers, like some TTI headers, they're like $800-900, and I wasn't trying to pay that. So I went with the name brand. I think it's called OBX Motorsports, and the weld quality ain't the best, but we're gonna make it work. But what we're doing today is I'm cutting off the 3-bolt flange for the header, just because I've never had any luck with 3-bolt flanges. There seems like there's always like a leak, or the gasket blows out, or something always happens. So I'm gonna cut those off, weld on some stainless V-band flanges, just like in the prior videos on the twin turbo C10 I had. But show y'all what I mean. So those welds, just the quality of them is not that good at all. You see, it's like they didn't even do a full weld. You can see where they just stitch welded it. Which I mean, hopefully it holds. If not, then I'm out of $400. So better than I'm gonna risk it. That's all I'm saying. Screw it. I'm not completely restoring this Charger. It's gonna be a driver. It's gonna have some problems. So I'm not gonna buy the $800-900 headers. I'm gonna risk the $400 headers. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to cut these off, the 3-bolt flanges, weld on some V-band flanges, and I have one 3-inch V-band flange, and then another one's coming in tomorrow, because I thought I had two, but it was actually 3¼ inch, which I don't even know why I have, because I've never done anything with 3¼ inch piping. Everything I've ever done has been 3-inch piping. So yeah, slap on some, I'm gonna do one 3-inch V-band today, call it a day. Alright, so got the header cut up. I cut off the 3-bolt flange and a little flared piece, cleaned up the inside of the header with a file, and then I cleaned up the outside with a red Scotch Brite, and then now I'm just getting the V-band flange laid out and deciding which side I want to weld onto the header. Basically, the way a V-band flange works is you got two of these little pieces, and they just kind of index into each other. You see, this one's got this is the male side, and that's the female side. They just index in each other. They seal up. Clamp goes around it, keeps it all nice and tight, sealed up. It's my opinion, it's a way better type deal than a regular 3-bolt header flange, where you got to put a gasket in there and then it leaks, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. But so that's all prepped up. I'm gonna wipe it down with a clean cloth, and then turn on my argon. We're gonna get to welding this. Alright guys, so I last left off whenever I was prepping the headers for the V-band flanges to be welded on, and I knocked that out, didn't record any of it, but got a V-band flange welded onto headers. The other side of the V-band flange that needs to be welded onto the exhaust, I haven't done yet, just because I don't want to do it before I actually get the engine into the car, because I might have to, you know, there's just a lot of things. There's tight spaces underneath this car where the exhaust has to run, so I don't want to go ahead and weld everything up right now. But the V-band flanges turned out real good. They're super nice, real clean welds, like per what I always do, I guess. But after I did that, I went ahead, knocked out the disc brake conversion completely. So that's completely, as you can see, full disc brake conversion on each side, brand new upper control arms, and as you can see, I started running hard lines. So got all this stuff up here mounted up, and this is just a little container full of drill bits. But so master cylinder, booster, and then a distribution block, which also had a proportioning valve mounted to it right there on that little bracket. But I took the proportioning valve off just because I have the adjustable valve underneath the dash that I mounted. So I ran all these hard lines, bent them myself, and I just bent those little loops. I just bent them literally around that, what was that? It's like starting fluid or something. Yeah, starting fluid, right? So I just bent them around that real easy. It keeps a nice, you know, mandrel bend and everything. And then I just ran all the lines. And of course that little bracket coming off of the steering column, I'm gonna have to cut that off, because that's for an automatic car on a column, where mine is automatic on the floor. This is, you know, the wrong steering column for the car, but it was a free steering column in all the parts I had, so I'm gonna use it. But yeah, ran all the hard lines all the way over here, and then of course the whole disc brake conversion on this side is done too. And then with the adjustable proportioning valve like I was talking about. As y'all can see, it's a mess in here. But so I got the valve set up right there, and then I got one line already coming in, and I just need to run the line out of it all the way to the back. And then went ahead, bought a fire extinguisher too, and I bought another fire extinguisher, and I'm gonna put it on the other side of the car, right by the passenger seat once I mount it up. So pretty much all I gotta do is run the rear brake out of the master cylinder down to the top of that distribution block right there where it's empty, and then run a line from the proportioning valve all the way to the top of the rear axle, and then T it to both sides. And it has a T already on there, like a little T block, and it's already run, one line's already run to the passenger side. But I got brand new line, I got all the fittings, I got everything I need. I might as well just put all new line from front to back. See, now I've already done this much. It would be stupid in my opinion not to. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been working on. I've been cranking on it pretty hard the last couple of days. See how there's no more Wham show in August. I let up for a couple weeks just because, you know, didn't need to make a real tight deadline anymore. So no need to rush on it and then wind up messing something up. But nearly all the brakes are plumbed, so then all I'd have to do is just go around, tight all the fittings, make sure they're all good, and then bleed the brakes, or actually bench bleed the master cylinder, and then bleed all the brakes. And then after that, it's pretty much dropping the engine, wiring harness, drive shaft, measure for it, make sure it's going to be the stock length drive shaft, and then if it's not the stock length, order a custom one. If it is stock length, probably still had to order a custom one because I don't know of any companies that sell stock length drive shafts for a 70 Charger. So that's gonna be pretty much it. It should, new goal is have it running by the end of August, which is still a little tight. You know, it's a month away, and but I got a decent amount of free time every now and then, so I should be able to knock it out. But that's pretty much gonna wrap it up, guys. All right, guys. So we're back. It's been quite a minute. It's been a couple weeks since I filmed anything, but I last left off where I welded up the headers and I was running brake lines, but got all the brake lines ran, got all the brakes completely bled, proportionate valve underneath the dash is good. The brakes are done, pretty much. Yeah, the brakes are completely done. So everything's tight, no leaks, we're all good. Then, as you can see, the engine is in the car, radiator's in the car, transmission is in the car, which I still need to, I think there was like some water in the transmission, so I need to drop the pan on it and do that whole thing. So the cross member that I did have that came with it right there was for a 4-speed. It wasn't for an automatic transmission. I didn't know that it was different on this car. You know, on all I've ever pretty much done is like old C10s, and you could just, you know, the frames on those trucks, you could just move the cross member forward and back, and there's several holes drilled right there for different applications. You could just, you know, stab it in. It always works. But on this, I mean, this car has no frame. It's, you know, subframe up front, and then, you know, frame rails in the back. There's no frame, so there's only one spot where the cross member can bolt to. And so of course, you know, for different link transmissions in this car, it takes different cross members. So order a new one, or not a new one, order a used one on eBay. Super nice. Threw my polyurethane bushing in it. Good to go. Then I went ahead and I mounted up the radiator, which was a pain just because it the bolt hole, the mounting holes didn't quite line up. I mean, you're dealing with a cheap radiator and an old car, so I wasn't expecting much. Just drilled some new holes, got that knocked out. Put a whole new fuel tank into the car, and let me see if it's around. So whole new gas tank, whole new filler tube. This yeah, you see everything in there, but you see the filler tube coming down. Oh, and then the best part about the whole car, only reason to own a Charger, in my opinion. So the best thing about the car. But that's pretty much all I've gotten done. Oh, and I ran brand new stainless steel fuel lines, 3/8 inch from the back to the front. Then I went ahead and I wrapped part of the fuel line that was right there by the header. I saw a guy on Instagram. He did it with he had like so they make like thermal heat sleeves to go over fuel lines just to keep the heat off of them, but they don't look that good, you know what I'm saying? But this one guy had like some thick, real thick like insulation on his, and it looked super cool. Turns out he was using AC insulation, like the big insulation that goes around AC hoses and everything, which I mean it works. And his was on a super clean setup, so it looked really nice. And I adopted that and ran it there. You can see I still have a lot left, so whenever I run a hard line off of there and up to the carburetor, that's what I'm gonna put some of that insulation on there, and that's gonna take care of heat problems and vapor locking and all that other stuff that comes with carburetors and headers. So I also got the gas pedal mounted up, which is one thing that I was worried about. Right now it's just kind of flopping around in here just because there's no cable on the end of that to keep that pulled tight to keep the gas pedal up, and then gas pedal just pushes down. But anyways, so that was one thing I was worried about, just the like where it was going to be exactly in relation to where I mounted the seat, just because I hard mounted the seat. There's no adjustment in this seat, so I would have to pull the seat back out, re-drill holes in the bracket if I wanted to move it, you know, forward or back or anything, just because it's all custom, and it's a, you know, it's a racing seat, and I can't really find any good you know, adjustment bars or anything, sliders for an old Charger, unless you're buying original ones for original bucket seats, and then you're getting into, you know, original prices, because everybody thinks that everything for a second gen Charger is worth gold. But so yeah, so now all I really need is carburetor, new distributor, drive shaft, alternator, power steering pump, just little small things, and the wiring on the car. So I have a box full of wiring, right, that came with the car, and I was going to use that, and I dug it all out, and just because I thought it was the full wiring harness for the car, but it turns out that it's two under dash harnesses. So it's like two fuse boxes, two bulkheads to go to the engine bay, two of pretty much everything, two ignitions, all that good stuff, and yeah, nothing for like the engine. So, and some of the wires on those there was like two wires that was burnt. You could tell they had been burned by something. And then there was a few wires that had been cut, and then there was like dirt dauber's nest like all over the wiring, like full dirt dauber's nest on there. So who knows? You know, there's no telling how if that wiring's any good, or if you know, if it would even work with the car. And then I'd have to buy either another used engine harness or buy a new engine harness, and then try to just make the two work or something. I don't even know. So I just went ahead, bought a whole new harness for the car. It includes under the dash, the inside, the engine, you know, the underneath the car that runs through the rear tail lights, and the fuel sending unit, all that stuff. It was pretty pricey. I think it was after tax and shipping, it was a little over $1,100 just for the full wiring harness. But now, you know, I'll be at peace of mind with the wiring, because that's the one thing that I don't know how to do. But this all comes labeled, comes with all the sockets, all the plugs and everything, and I don't have to worry about my car burning down. Which I have two fire extinguishers in the car anyways. I'm about to mount those up probably today. So I'll mount one up by the driver's seat, and then mount the other one up by the passenger seat. But yeah, so that's gonna knock that out. And then from there, it's just little stuff. Just like I said, carburetor, finish the fuel line up to the carburetor, distributor, which I'm gonna buy. There's a Proform distributor that gets rid of the points. So these cars, you know, it's point style, so it's got the little ballast and everything in there, all that good stuff. But I'm gonna go to electronic ignition, and then it comes with like the new little tiny little box to go into the firewall and everything. I don't know, there was like 27 reviews on Summit Racing. It was all good, so, and it was cheap, or cheap enough. So the car theoretically should be running real soon. The only thing that's gonna keep it from driving is gonna be a drive shaft. Just because I don't even know. I guess I might have to start calling around shops here and pull some measurements. I don't have anything to really pull measurements from. I don't have a yoke that goes into the transmission. So usually you measure from center to center, you know, U joint to U joint, and then that's your measurement, I think, or that's where I've always done it. And then so on this one I don't, but it's, you know, a 383 big block, 727 trans, and 8 3/4 rear end. It's the complete stock setup that this car came with. So a stock drive shaft theoretically should work, which I think the stock drive shaft for the 383, the 727, and the 8 3/4 rear end was like 52 inches and some change. It was like 52 1/8, which once you get to, you know, fractions of inches, it don't matter in a drive shaft. Not that much. You know, if an eighth of an inch in a drive shaft is gonna mess it up, if it's, you know, if an eighth of an inch too short is gonna make the drive shaft fall out of the transmission, or if an eighth of an inch too long is gonna make it hit the transmission whenever the suspension flexes, then there was problems anyways. It was going to hit or fall out anyways. So I guess just order a 52 inch drive shaft and tell the local drive shaft company the spline count on the transmission, the U-joint size for the rear end, and then just bite the bullet on it and have them make one. So that's gonna be oh no, that's not gonna be all. So I did the headers too, which was a pain in the ass. But as you can see, the headers are on. They're not bolted up. There's a stud I got to pull out of I think that hole right there. And I just ordered new gaskets because the gaskets that came with those headers don't even fit the headers, like at all. Like the bolt holes in this gasket do not line up for the center part. You could look at it. So that's the bolt hole that goes on the left side, and the bolt hole that goes on the right side is way over there. This is way too small. Like it won't fit at all. If you line it up with one of the bolt holes, the other side of the gasket isn't even in the right spot for the header. So I don't know why that header company would send the wrong gaskets. I don't know if they sent, you know, small block Mopar gaskets or what. I really don't even know. But they're the wrong gaskets is all I know. They won't bolt up to the header, and the header bolts up perfectly to the engine. So I know the header's fine. I know the engine's fine. It's just their gaskets. Cheap company. That's what I get for one with a cheap company. But anyways, another 20 bucks. Header gaskets, done deal. And yeah, there was a pain to get in the car. It took every bit of like a whole hour to get those in the car by myself. And I was steadily, you know, jacking up the engine, moving the engine forward, moving the engine back a little bit, trying to get the header fit in there just right, like sliding the transmission one way, sliding the transmission the other way. But it got it work. So if you ever hear anybody say that, you know, fitting headers into a second gen Charger on a big block is a pain in the ass, they ain't lying. It's a real pain. But that's gonna be all, guys.